wash your hair tight. When I wake up in the morning, my bed has says 4 Like, what's your hair tight? Tryna go out tonight. I think I need my body. It's always a kinky conversation. A kinky conversation. But I got that magic.
Welcome back to Kinky Conversations. Today we have such an exciting show. We have Baba AK and Mama Aminata.
Yes.
You have actually a school.
I do, Kuumba Academic and Cultural Institute. It's a culturally relevant school. We create an environment that is loving and challenging and spiritually grounded so that we are able to produce students who are academically excellent, know who they are, and are committed to social justice.
Wow. And you're an esteemed author.
Yes.
We shoot back.
We will.
We will shoot back. Oh, don't shoot. How did you come up with that?
Well, wow, that would be the whole show. Okay, but I actually came up with that, and it talks about it, I think, in the book, how when I was a young person, and we're from Los Angeles, California, actually from Compton, but when we came to the South, I was in an student activist meeting, and I met some older folk who were in the movement, and we drove through Alabama, and they started telling me stories about black people protecting other black people. And I never heard those growing up. And so I kind of held that, and when I was in graduate school, I did a paper, and a professor encouraged me to continue to work on it. And it ended up, years later being a book, just researching that and finding out the stories of our people who protected each other during the civil rights movement.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I wish we can keep that going now because things have changed.
Yes and no.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I would love
there's always, and I know the topic for today is Black love.
Definitely.
There's always been people from the time we got here to today who loved our people, loved their families and wanted to defend and protect what they had. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And you all have been together 38 years?
Yes.
Well, it'd be 38 years in June.
June.
Yeah.
Woo.
June 14th.
But actually, we've been married that long.
That's right.
How long have you been together?
We only dated 11 months before we got married.
Oh, so you knew what you wanted.
Yeah. Right. At that point,
we knew what we
we knew.
Yeah. At that point,
right.
I knew.
Yeah, get it right. That's right.
At that point, I knew. Yeah.
So tell me about your journey as far as how did you all meet, and since we're talking about Black love, we want to hear your love story.
Yes. Well, I used to be a part of a dance company called our Wanda Lewis African American Dance. And for some reason, the young people in the company kept getting fired, and I got fired. And one of the reasons why I got fired is because I was light, and I used to have long hair. And we had one white woman in the company, and she wanted me to understudy the white woman. And I said, no, I won't be doing that. So she didn't fire me immediately, but she eventually fired me. And several of the other young women for different reasons. We were different shades, but for different reasons. So a sister friend of mine named Shelley Hughes, who was a part of the dance company, said she had a place for us to rehearse, the Center for Black Survival in Los Angeles on Main Street. And she also told me, she said, there's a man there that I think that you would really like. He's perfect for you. And she described Ak and Mama. So, we would go to the center to rehearse. And Ak and Mama would open up, but then he would go to the back. And he paid me no attention at all. Yeah, he didn't pay me any attention. And there was another sister in the group that really liked him, but he didn't pay.
At least one.
At least one. He didn't pay either one of us any attention. And then I attended a forum because there was an organization that was a part of the center called the Human Rights Coalition at the time, or we were the Center for Black Survival.
National Black Human Rights Coalition.
Right, okay, so they had a forum on independent schools, and I wanted to start a freedom school. So I went to the forum, and when he saw me at the forum, I think he realized, oh man, she must be political. And that's when he decided that he would want to date me. But I, at the time, had decided that I was going to date several men and that I was not going to get married because I wanted three things in a man. I wanted a man that really loved me. I wanted a man that really loved black people. And I wanted a man that really loved God. And I had not seen that in one man. You know, so I decided I wasn't going to settle. And then that's when I met Ak and Mama, and he called our other best friend that takes credit for our marriage. Her name is Akita. And he said, you know, tell Aminata I want to go out with her. You know.
Yeah, whatever your name was.
Well, my name wasn't Aminata then. My name wasn't Aminata then. Tell her I want to go out with her. And I said, you don't want to go out with me. You know, I get high, I do this, I do that.
Don't tell all of it.
Well, I figure that's what this show is for, right? And she said, oh, no, you need to call him. That's your husband. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So the next time I came to rehearsal, he was waiting outside for me. And he said, sister, did your friend say that I called? And I said, she did. He said, well, I'd like to take you out. No, I said to him then, I don't believe in dating one man. And he said, that's fine with me, sister. But I didn't see anybody after that, though. That was it. That was it. I didn't see anybody after that.
You got to tell us your side of the story.
Her friend and I went to the same school, and I remember her coming into my office, and she started interrogating me, asking me all these questions. And I was wondering, what's going on? Why is she asking me all these questions? And so I guess the matchmaking had started there, even though it wasn't more aggressive than that. And, you know, I would notice Aminata, and there were other women in the group. And she said I didn't show her any attention because I was trying to be professional. I was supposed to open the building for them. I wasn't supposed to be there acting as a predator on all of the women coming into the building. You know, I did notice her. And then, but you know, you mentioned I knew what I wanted at that point. She talked about her criteria. One of my things was I did want somebody who was committed to the struggle of our people, wanted to see our people free. Because I figured if I entered into a relationship with somebody and they weren't serious about those things, then it was going to be conflict. Ends up now she I think she's more committed to black people than I am in some ways. So when she did come to that forum, I said, okay, she's thinking about something. And then how do you know what somebody's actually about unless you take them out on a date, you know, and so that's what I think kind of inspired. I think our first date I was just real comfortable with her. Even prior to that, talking to her on the phone, I liked her voice, how she talked. Even though she wasn't from the South, it sounded very Southern to me, and I was, you know, in love with the South. Even when we were living in LA. And I'm not talking about South Central. She wasn't a gangster, you know, but I, you know, I like that part about her, and I like, you know, we had some serious conversations, and we had similar plans in terms of where we wanted to go, and you know, it just merged. So, but you know, our relationship went well. We might have had a few little spats early on, and I think I decided 6 months after we were dating that I would propose to her.
I have a question. You both have been together for a very long time, and I personally cannot wait to experience that type of love. So, you know, Kinky Conversations, we kind of go into talking about a lot of interesting topics and a lot of hot topics. And one thing, you know, immediately that catches my eye is the fact that you're light skin and you're dark skin, right? And that's something that we've hit on a couple times on this show. So have you guys ever experienced any type of like colorism or any type of, you know, whether it's people coming up to you or making comments to you, just as it relates to your relationship? Like, have you ever experienced that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, Ak and Mama had a lot of girlfriends, you know, and so when I came into the organization, there were people that did not like the fact that we became so close. And Will said things like, oh, he got the closest thing to white. that he could find, you know, that type of thing. And my hair was long, and obviously I'm light skinned, but I have 2 black parents. You know, I don't do the whole multiracial thing, but that's a whole nother discussion. I believe that the majority of black people are multiracial, but I don't want to tell other people what they should call themselves. But black people are multiracial. It's a part of who we are as our ethnic group. You know, we have Yoruba and Igbo and Hausa and Mandingo, all these beautiful African nations run through our blood. But we also have white blood because of what happened to us in our enslavement. So the white blood that I have was because my grandmother was raped when she was 14 for the man that she cleaned up for. So not only was it rape, it was child abuse. But during that period, nothing happened, right? My grandmother was darker than the skies at midnight, is what we would say. And my father came out as a copper penny. So he had a very difficult time because unfortunately in our community, because of our slave experience, because of Ma'afa, sometimes we punish the victim. So here my father is a rape victim, you know, the victim, the child of a rape, and he was punished because it was obvious that if he was that color, that my grandmother had to be raped, you know, and just to sidetrack a little bit, when she did marry, the brother that married her probably looked at my father and got angry all over again, so he used to beat him, you know, until my grandmother pulled out a gun. Mama Lou White-Smith, that was her name, and pulled out a gun and said, if you hit him again, I will kill you. And so that stopped the beatings. You know, so yeah, colorism, you know, has been a large part of my life. You know, it's interesting because if you are dark chocolate, colorism is going to be a part of your life. But if you're light, colorism is a part of your life. You know, but for me to say that being light doesn't give you an advantage would be a lie. Because in this society, if you are light, white people are much more comfortable with you. And unfortunately, our people, you know, see you in a different way. So we still have a lot to get over.
So how did you guys deal with that though? So like if you heard people saying, oh, you got the closest thing to white or something like that, obviously that's not comfortable for you at all, right? I mean, just to hear someone say that, but like, this is who you chose. You guys chose each other, so let's put that out there, right? But I mean, you know, you pursued her to some degree, and it's like that's what you were attracted to. So how did that make you feel, hearing people make comments like that?
Well, I probably didn't hear it as much as she did.
Oh, okay.
Because like she said, she's hearing it from, I guess, from haters, as we would call them today.
Okay.
And I guess I grew up, I was the darkest person in my family.
Okay.
So for me, a lot of people were like, you know, like she would be like in my family, you know what I mean? So I was the darkest person in the family. And so I saw my range of who was light and dark was probably bigger than most people. Yeah. But also, my thing is, I know that we have these contradictions in our community. Right. And at the same time, I felt I had to choose somebody for things other than those contradictions.
That's nice.
You know what I mean? I had to choose her for what type of character she had. Yeah. I definitely had to be attracted to her, but I think I had been attracted to different types of sisters. So
I can vouch for that.
So the people who knew me, my friends who knew me, knew that I was attracted and dated different colored women, not because of their color. Okay. Other than that, you know, what type of character you have, how do we complement each other, how do what type of future can we have together, those type of things. And Aminata was very serious. She's always been, you know, which is why she was able to do the school, because she's always been like really driven around our people.
And has it always been difficult? Because I know
when we talk how looks good get people in the door. Like when people look, they automatically gravitate towards you because of your hair and your skin. And on the other end of the spectrum, especially in the nationalistic communities, they gravitate toward the other end of the spectrum, where darker people are more rewarded.
It depends, because if you think about it, people like Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, they would all be considered lighter skinned folk. So it depends, you know. I wonder to what extent we magnify it larger than it's supposed to be. And as Aminata said, dominant society has always like put preferences on what it says are most valued. I even one of my favorite books, Michael Gomez, is Changing Our Country Marks. He said even when it was, you know, mostly people who are African born, they might see features in one group, ethnic group of Africans rather than the other one. They like those better. So they've always done that. My teachers kind of encouraged the group I was in that, you know, we should try to come together as much as possible and not let either class or color or, you know, different type of things divide us as a people.
And we have to attack it. You know, like at Kuumba, we attack it. So the children every day say a prayer, a libation, and an affirmation. And the libation is, "Oh ancestors, blacker than the skies at midnight, brighter than the noonday sun, and all the beautiful shades of Africa in between." Field hands, house servants. You see, so you have to attack it, because even our younger children do the color. You know, they absolutely.
Start my day off to take that into a corporate environment.
Absolutely. You know, so we absolutely. So we attack it. You know, my parents helped me a lot with the light skin thing. You know, because when I was little, you know, they called me, and you know, I don't like to tell people my slave name, but or the name that I had before I changed my name.
You were born with?
My name was Joy White. So I was light with long hair. And for some reason, my mama liked Vaseline. She didn't want this would have been too dry for my mama. She would have put Vaseline on my hair, which was a crazy look. You know, so they used to call me White Girl, White Joy when I was, you know, when I was coming up. Oh, all of that. But because my father was a Methodist minister, and he was well-grounded. He was a king man, what Akinele would call a race man. So, you know, we're black nationalists. He was not a nationalist, but he certainly was a race man. He loved black people, you know, and he taught about how if you follow Christ, then you're a social activist. That was his message, you know. And I remember him telling me, I must have been about 16, and he said, "You don't even know you're pretty, do you?" You know, and I didn't, because I struggled with self-hatred. You know, I tried to wear an afro, man, because this is the way my hair is, right? So I tried to wear an afro, and I put in little rollers, and
but
you know,
should contextualize the period of time we were growing up.
The afro was what was going on.
You know, it was the Black is Beautiful period.
Black is beautiful, and my brother was saying stuff like, "Well, you can't really be that fine because you light," you know. I mean, that's the kind of stuff he used to tell me. You know, he got over it, I believe. All of his women, though, you know, were brown, dark brown. But anyway.
Not all of them.
He got lots of women.
So no.
we won't get into Leslie Mohammed.
That's a whole nother segment.
That's a whole nother segment.
Category.
Yeah, but I tried with the little, little rollers, and it would look good, you know, in the mirror. And then as soon as I got outside, and that wind would hit it, or that moisture, little straight hairs would stick up.
That fog in L.A.
That fog in. Then I did an Afro wig. So I had to. Oh, honey. So I had to learn to love myself as an African woman, you know. And one of the things I think is important for us to remember is that all people of color go through this. You talk about black people, Latino people go through the light dark thing. People that are Indian go through the light dark thing. It's a part of white supremacy. So once we realize that's where it's coming from, then maybe we can stop it. You know.
How do you see it affecting things now? Like, do you see a difference between back then and now? Like, we see colorism all the time, but how has it changed, or has it?
I don't think it's changed much. I think the period of time that we were coming up, which is why she was reacting that way as a youth, you know, because it was so much emphasis on black is beautiful. Because as I mentioned, growing up, I was the brownest one in my family, the darkest one in my family. And so I think there might have been some self-hatred from that. But then I remember being in high school, and I'm in high school. I started high school in 1969. And so we're in the midst of that movement. And I remember, you know, when you get the people writing in your yearbook, and I remember girls, you were beautiful, brown, dark skin. And I'm like, damn, I look good. You know, you know what I mean? So that period was very helpful.
So interesting to hear you say that, you know, young girls were writing your yearbook saying like beautiful black, whatever, you know, and they'd highlight that because I mean, as a dark skinned girl, you hear, oh, you're cute for a dark skinned girl. So it's really interesting to hear that coming from a man that you felt that, and you know, it was just on the opposite side of that.
But the difference is he's like, oh, that made me feel good. For
But
us, we're like,
what do you mean?
I'm just a woman.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
so
it registers.
But I
so
think there's a
you're
difference because she said you're for that. Like there's, you know, but they were saying it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I think it's a difference in how that's said.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're saying, oh, for a dark girl, you're beautiful, or you're beautiful for a chocolate woman. That's different than saying you're a beautiful chocolate woman. To me.
Yeah, because then it kind of pushes out the notion that majority of black dark-skinned women aren't beautiful. So you're the exception when you say you're beautiful for a dark-skinned girl. So I can hear that. Yeah.
And I think both statements can be made right now. You hear people say that.
Yeah, because we're still confused.
Yeah, we're still struggling.
There's a
It ain't over.
professor, an author named Marimba Ani, and she writes a book called Yurugu, and she talks about Ma'afa, which is our great disaster, what happened to us, you know, in our enslavement, and it's still happening to us. And not knowing that you're beautiful, you know, no matter what your shade or your hair texture or your eye color, because we are the rainbow, which makes sense because we're the parents of humanity, that we would be the rainbow, is a part of that Ma'afa, you know, that just deep destruction of our people. So we have to rebel. To me, the way you wear your hair is resistance. The way you wear your clothes is resistance. What you name yourself, how you celebrate, the way you spend your money. So I want to resist in every way possible.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
What are some of the things, the trends that you have seen, because you work a lot and you work at a university and you work a lot with young people? What are some of the major trends you see in terms of relationships that give you pause, and some of the things that make you say, okay, we're going to do it?
Things that give me pause continuously is when we hear people not making it. I think we probably would both agree with that. Aminata speaks all the time about you hit a little struggle. That's reason to just give up the whole thing. When you were mentioning love and how it's defined, it's love and struggle. You know, it ain't always gonna be sweet. In fact, one of the things we were introduced to when we were married and was a part of our wedding ritual and other rituals we do is this 8-bowl ceremony. And you taste these substances for different aspects of life. And so there's honey, you know, we talk about the romance and attraction that brings you together. But then there's, you know, you have spats. And then couples even go through crisis together. You know, so there's cayenne pepper in the ritual for hiding critical times. But, you know, the couples go through all types of, drama. I'm not drama. Drama would be the salt, you know, when you have the disagreements, the article, the line. That's, you know, you go through that, but, you know, there are some things, devastating things that happen to families. And we have to think about it. Our ancestors made it through some, you know, some of them made it through going across the Middle Passage. You know, I remember Dr. Asa here used to tell stories about how, you know, you would have people during slavery would be sold from one plantation to another. And he said there was this brother who was sold maybe like from Virginia to Louisiana, and at the end of the Civil War, he went back looking for his family. So, you know, there were people that survived through great things. Years ago, Quilombo gave this conference about building strong couples and building strong relationships. And we had 2 couples there who, during the period of time that J. Edgar Hoover was trying to lock folk up and put people, they had the husband being incarcerated and wife still out, and they were able to survive through that. And one couple, actually, because they had conjugal visits, had 3 children while the husband was incarcerated. You know, and it's blessed that he was eventually out. But you know what I'm saying? So she gave that example because she wanted the young people to say, man, this stuff you're going through is nothing compared to what these people are going through.
I wanted to go back to what you asked Kuumba about relationships, you know, and what may give us pride and what is disheartening. You know, I honestly believe that all of us, all human beings, have to find their path to the Creator. You know, whatever you call God, you know, Allah, Jehovah, whether you know God through the Christ, you have to find your path to the Creator. And then when you get that path and you submit, you know, to the Creator, then you align your life to that. I don't see that happening. So then when people get into relationships, they're not trying to align their lives. So they're looking for things that are superficial. And then they end up with superficiality. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you're trying to live the way the Creator wants you to live, when you're trying to live in a way that will honor your ancestors, I think it's easier to find a mate. You know, but if you want to be with someone because they have material things, you know, or just because of the way they look, and you do have to be attracted to people, but just because of the way they look, that's going to be hard to maintain a relationship. Started out looking for stuff that is, it doesn't matter. You know, it's the spirit, the character that matters. You know, I see other couples, and what hurts me is there's no reflection on, oh man, I ain't worked in years, and that's why my woman left me. Or I tried to control her like she was a little girl and like I was daddy, and that's why my woman left me. Or I don't honor my husband. I don't speak to him with respect. We have to really reflect, and all of that begins with your relationship with God and the ancestors. You know, so if you don't have that, I would say everything is going to be a mess.
I don't want to even just blame the individuals too, because I think, you know, traditionally before we came here, people were prepared for marriage, for relationships, all that. And I think now people just on their own. So you lucky if it happens, you know what I mean? And I really think our community has to reconsider establishing means to prepare people
for marriage,
for participating in community, even to be good sister to a sister and a brother to a brother.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's good. That's good.
We need to. I mean, so I think our community needs to sit down. Don't have to be a big conference. Could be in small groups. Just start preparing people and preparing rites of passage for our youth and the next generation. You know, oftentimes too, we might have couples come to us for counseling, but they usually come after some stuff has happened. I wish they would have talked to me on the front end. Right. You know what I mean? And then, you know, it's almost like you created this mess and now you want me to do something about it. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I really think, so it's really not a problem just of the individual couples. It's a problem that our community is going to have to address.
Right.
Let me say this, because they're signaling for us to wrap it on up.
Just as we were starting to have a good time.
That's what I was just thinking.
And plus y'all didn't give me no tea.
I mean, we gotta do this again.
got to do this again.
Because it's so much.
Oh
to
my,
talk
this was
about.
amazing though, seriously. Like I'm sitting like, I could sit and listen all day. And when you start talking about counseling, I'm like, where can I sign up? We want to thank you guys so much. You all were awesome. I would, if you all never ever need a place to have a small group, because we work in the entertainment field, and I would say that that is an industry that's hurting in Black love. As far as stuff, oh my goodness. Who is so much pain over there. And I think that we need to start working on that, because that is the mess. They're putting the message out to
They are.
the media, yeah.
Yeah, what relationships are.
Oh yeah,
You see some good things in the media. I'm not in the media, and
On TV.
the people are starting to produce. Black artists are starting to produce to deal with relationships and the struggle through the relationships
Yes.
and overcoming stuff.
Yes,
you know.
thank goodness.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I think that the TV is
Oh
the
man,
devil.
please.
Okay, and I have to tell you, I love television, but I think the TV is the devil in terms of how we see ourselves, in terms of how we see relationships, how we see our men. The new dominant narrative is that if you're a sister, you need a white man. That is very destructive. You know, and I'm not trying to say that you can't. Well. Being with a black man, black men and black women being together, black love, that's revolutionary.
yes.
You know, it is. Yeah.
You all tell them how they can get in contact with you, if you can give your websites, any information that you have.
Well, if you're interested in the school, you can go to kilomboschool.com. It's KILOMBO school.com. We have ages 3 to the 8th grade, and we teach the children that they're African and that they're divine. You know, and so we love that because we think it begins with the children.
I'm also AK Umoja, AKUMOJA on Instagram.
We again want to say thank you all so much. This was an enlightening conversation. The beginning of hopefully more conversations, really.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for doing this for our people. I really appreciate it, you know.
Just the beginning.
Yeah.
Beginning. So we want you all out there to leave comments, follow them on Instagram, look at their website, go to the school, support black businesses. Come on in here and do a photo shoot. You can also go to our website at www.kinkyconvos.com or follow us on Instagram at Kinky Conversations. Thank you again for watching.
For more Kinky Conversations, log on now to www.kinkyconvos.com or on Instagram at Kinky Conversations. Interested in being on the show or showcasing your natural hair products? Use hashtag Kinky Conversations or hashtag Curlfriends.
Always